Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. We've got Matthew Marsden, BlazeTV contributor, back in the house. He is also an actor and producer extraordinaire, as I have dubbed him so. Also, Eric July, BlazeTV contributor and founder of Rippaverse Comics, which you guys all need to go check out. You can find him at rippaverse.com. You can find him at YouTube, Matthew D. Marsden, because he added the D to be fancy, because he is British and he speaks in a British accent. That wasn't one.
God blimey, governor. Yeah, chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chiroo. God blimey, yeah. Hello, Mary Poppins.
And make sure that you are subscribed to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Go check me out also at AmericanBeautyBySara.com. Get all of your makeup there. It is very nice if I do say myself, and I do, because it's mine. And I'm wearing it. All right. So the Trump administration has, I would say, they've gotten a pretty solid diplomatic win as Vice President JD Vance announces very good progress on a trade deal between the United States and India, which obviously the goal here is to pivot away from China, reorient global supply chains away from China. And of course, with India, you have this massive labor force. You have, a political alignment with the U.S. rather than being a political adversary, a more reliable partner in Modi. And do you guys remember the first time that President Trump was in office and there were these videos from India of all of the people in India, like, loving President Trump, cheering for President Trump? I mean, they love them, some President Trump. So they want to double U.S.-India trade to $500 billion by the year 2030. And so, I mean, this is like a generational type pivot, not just like an immediate one. I already see Eric has some thoughts on this.
He's gone for the cup.
It's like, all right, I'm gonna sip my tea. It's not tea, it's just water. So this wants to double bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030. It would open India's massive $125 billion e-commerce market to American firms like Amazon and Walmart. And you had Vance praising Prime Minister Modi as a serious leader and tough negotiator, while emphasizing that this agreement could define the future of the 21st century. Watch.
As many of you are aware, both of our governments are hard at work on a trade agreement built on shared priorities, like creating new jobs, building durable supply chains, and achieving prosperity for our workers. In our meeting yesterday, Prime Minister Modi and I made very good progress on all of those points. And we are especially excited to formally announce that America and India have officially finalized the terms of reference for the trade negotiation. I think this is a vital step. Thank you. I believe this is a vital step toward realizing President Trump's and Prime Minister Modi's vision, because it sets a roadmap toward a final deal between our nations.
So Trump has paused the 26% tariff on Indian exports for 90 days so that they can allow negotiations to continue. Eric, I will give you the floor first. You are, of course, this businessman, multi-million-dollar business, which, I don't know why you show up here. Matt and I are just
Billy big time over here.
All right, Rippaverse.com. What say
Hold
you?
Up in his gold Rolls Royce.
Mr. multi-million-dollar business owner. You have more credibility than AmericanBeautyBySara.com. We need to sell a whole hell of a lot more makeup to catch up with Eric. Okay? Go ahead, Eric. I'm kidding.
I love it. But I made a post that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
You?
No.
All right.
No.
What a surprise. Where I said that I do believe that there's a disconnect between what this administration is attempting to do and how they are leveraging tariffs versus how a lot of the constituents, or rather the supporters, do. And I don't say that to insult supporters. I'm not saying that that's even a bad thing. I'm just saying how they're using it as a vehicle for whatever political efforts that they have versus what you anticipate are two different things. This was never realistic if you thought that this whole thing was about bringing jobs back, especially in manufacturing, to the United States of America. And I think with this, it shows you that was not going to happen. India economically is very, very similar to China. Very similar. What they have that a lot of the other countries don't have is this massive labor force, which can, at least in some capacity, compete with China, just because there's just a bunch of people over there.
Right.
So this whole setup seemed to be more about trying to, okay, instead of China basically on behalf of the entire world being able to control the manufacturing and product production, let's either disperse that among different countries, which basically doesn't put them in the position that they're in right now, where China, as I told everybody, can play chicken. Everybody, oh, China's they're going to eventually, no, they haven't still to this day, because they don't have a reason to, mainly because they are best suited to play chicken, because they know, guys, we control all your manufacturing. So you cannot like us. You cannot like how we do, not like how we do business. But at the end of the day, you are heavily dependent on us. And while the U.S. has a massive consumer market, which is their biggest asset that they have as far as negotiating trade, still the production is on the Chinese side. And that's all that this ever was about. It was not about simply bringing in more manufacturing jobs, because that's not what this does. You're talking about this deal is specifically suited to basically reroute a lot of that production to India. By the way, guys, India isn't the United States. That was never the argument. That might have been, that sounded great. Oh, we're going to bring back manufacturing, and that's what all this is about. No, it wasn't. That was never realistic. That was never realistic. Anybody that was economically literate understood that. And I'm not knocking Trump. I'm not knocking Vance, but I am a pro-trade, free trade kind of guy. If this means that they can get rid of their tariffs and we can get rid of ours, I'm all for it. This is something that I've been very consistent on in advocating. I just want people to understand that they're playing a different game.
Yeah. Could it be both at the same time, though?
No.
So you can't.
No, it can't.
What about like Hyundai and these other companies that have already?
Where are they based out of?
Well, but they are investing like what, $20 billion.
Is that not the same as the Chinese coming and buying all the farmland? What do you want? So we want a bunch of labor as far as the production is concerned, controlled by external sources. It's the same thing. They're just paying for you to do it.
Right.
But they're the ones that are in control. This is the same objection that we've had to like Chinese folks buying all this farmland. It's like, yeah, sure, the workers may be from here that they're using to control it, but the ownership is on China. So you want this manufacturing that's owned by them, but because they are producing it, and again, using that in quotes, because a lot of that still is produced in China, right? A lot of this manufacturing stuff that they say is going to be manufactured is more assembled in this country, not actually manufactured. All these motors, semiconductors, all that stuff is being produced out there in China, and will continue to be unless something changes. Unless India, a country like that. And I will say maybe India is a lot more politically aligned with the United States of America. Two things can be true.
Yeah, for sure.
Two things can be true. Would you prefer, as opposed to a China, maybe a India, maybe some of those jobs being routed there because at least you benefit from that a lot more economically? Yes, I'd agree with Vance and all of them on that. I just want the American public to understand that this is not simply a game about bringing manufacturing back to the United States of America. And I think that's why, I think they understand that. And I think that's why they've been very, very slow, right, in trying to completely overhaul the tax situation that is being levied upon American people, as well as some of the regulations. So that's my position on it. I'm not an anti whatever this is. If this means them ending a lot of the tariffs going both ways, because I love to sell my products in India more, right? I've talked about that. I would love for them to stop tax, because I have to explain to these countries that we sell to. They're like, man, I get it. Import all these import fees. Don't blame me.
Yep.
Blame your government.
Yep.
Blame your government. So if deals,
I can't eat all of those.
Yeah, that's
fees.
what I'm saying. You got to blame your government on that. So, but in again, ideal world, they wouldn't have all those tariffs, and we wouldn't have them either.
Right. Yeah, Matt.
Yeah, I think there's an additional component to this, which is like China's pretty much been at war with us economically for many, many, many years. And as I've said before on this show, is that we funded their blue water navy, which is not a good thing. So I think that doing what you're saying, because Eric's right in the sense that, well, multiple things, but in the sense that if you look at the economy of India, there's a lot of poverty there.
Yes.
And so what you're basically doing, what Eric is getting at, is you're transferring one slave labor state to another slave labor state.
Yes, correct.
That's basically what you're saying. But look, I mean, we were doing this anyway with Vietnam and Cambodia.
Yes, Bangladesh, all of them, yeah.
It's all the same. It's all the same. But I think that, and smartly so, if you're having a really intelligent, comprehensive look at how you wage war, as China has been on us for many years, without actually getting at a gun, you do it economically, mutually assured economic destruction, and it's all been one way. And so what this is doing is it's going. I know there were people that were realigning their circuit boards and everything already with India. That's been going on for the past 5 to 10 years.
That's been happening
anyway.
for a while. You're right.
It has been happening. It's still not as good as China, or not as economically viable as China, but it's getting there. And I think that part of this as well is basically bankrupting China for them to say, hey,
it's a
listen,
political move.
It's a massive political move. So I think Eric's right when he's saying that about it's not about bringing all the jobs back.
But, and I understand, but I mean, I would push back a little bit in the sense that, so take Hyundai out of the equation, because that's a South Korean company, okay? Which I still would argue is not necessarily, I mean, South Korea is not our adversary, but I understand we don't want other countries coming and buying up a bunch of but like NVIDIA just said that, I mean, they're from California, and they said that they were going to spend hundreds of billions of dollars on United States manufacturing. You have Bayer, who is investing $44 million to expand consumer health product manufacturing facility in Pennsylvania. You have, they're bringing iPhone manufacturing back to this country, they said.
We'll see.
Well, okay, but what about NVIDIA?
I'm talking about specifically with Apple.
Sure.
But yes, like there is going to be this.
So I'm saying, so that's what I mean by, can you do both at the same time? Because I think that there is some that will just naturally come back to this country.
I still question that. Like I said, I still question that, and I want to read the fine print, because there's been a whole lot of that shaking and moving over the last, I would say, about decade, right? It started with the 3D printing stuff, right? Where you had all these companies. Some of them are American, others are European, like the Netherlands and stuff. We're manufactured here. And then you go to their website, because they absolutely have to, and you read the fine print. While some of these things are manufactured in the Netherlands, they're assembled there, right. And our motors are in China.
Right.
So yeah, that's still some level of it's like, what do we mean by manufacturing? I guess is the argument that we're trying to produce here, because there's multiple layers and multiple levels at the manufacture. Any being brought back on this side is positive. So I don't want to knock that also can be the case, but through the grants, a lot of the loans, businesses have been investing in America for so long. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, they are heavily dependent upon the Chinese to actually have their products built and mass produced. And I would like to see an adjustment made there. But I also want people to be realistic about it. And this is why I would argue that it's not even a pivot. I think this was their plan all along. They're far more realistic about this than a lot of their supporters are. Right, where they're like, oh, we can just produce everything in America and it's going to be fine. No, you can't.
Right.
No, you can't. It doesn't work like that. It's never going to work like that. Do you not understand how long that it took when China in the late 70s finally started, because they had these uber protectionist policies, they finally started open up their economy. That was in the late 70s, going into the 80s. And it took several decades for them to get to the point to where basically they are the mass producer for almost every manufacturing industry that requires any level of manufacturing. It's all Chinese, right? That took them decades to get there. You think you're just going to roll back with one tariff or two? You can tax them at 250%, right? And you still think that it's going to change? No, because there's a lot of infrastructure that's going to need to be built. And that infrastructure is not going to be built overnight. It's not going to be built over a year. This is something we got to this point. Your government screwing over your own people over the course of several years. And also considering that America is a big consumer market, even I think in an ideal world, there's still going to be some level of trade with other countries.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's not going to be everything that we need is just going to be produced top to bottom in America. I just don't think that's realistic.
No, it's not realistic. But would it be too much to ask to just have our medication made here? Would it be too much to ask?
I was about to say this. There's certain things that I believe are non-negotiable, and even if it's gonna, for the manufacturing side of things, it's strategic for us to make them here. Like, we should not be getting motherboards and chips from China to put in our nuclear submarines.
What could possibly go wrong? What do you mean?
What are you thinking? Right? I mean, that's just stupid. And the same thing, I mean, they could be poisoning us like bit by bit with the medication. Like, we don't know.
Well, or, there could be this crazy virus that shuts them down, and it turns out you can't get your medication because the supply chain is completely kaput.
Yeah, but I think to Eric's point though as well, I think that if you're looking at, like you said, I think the Trump administration have been very pragmatic about it.
I agree, and I'm actually giving them props for that.
That's
what
I'm saying. I think the people might be
art of the deal.
Yeah, they might be getting a little bit butthurt about what you're saying, because what. You're laughing at me because I said butthurt, aren't you? Yeah.
Well, he makes it sound fancy.
He does.
Butthurt.
Like my kids at my kids' school got up and say, "Can you say bottle of water?" And I'm like, "What am I, performing monkey?" Like,
right, but there's a little. I mean, it's a little bit different when you make butthurt sound. Go on.
But I think that that there are certain things that we absolutely need to be made here. That categorically we have to, just for the safety of the country.
Yep.
But the other thing that we're finding, which we can look at what's going on with the Supreme Court and other things, we can't even get our manufacturing going because there's so much red tape that it's going to take them 5 years to get rid of all that. No, but it's
trying
true.
to tell you. No, he's right. Like,
I know he's right. I know he's right.
This is why I wish.
I was going to say he'll go off for the rest of the show on that.
But they're trying to cut it, but they're getting stopped. And
you have the courts and all that stuff. They said, this is why I think people need to be, not to say if you want to be pissed off at China, not to say you don't have a right to do it. I'm saying that your government is complicit and has been for several decades. If you are to be angry at an entity that has crippled you in the manufacturing industries, you need to be pointing your finger at the United States government. Mm-hmm. And what you're seeing now is, as they try to fix this, try to make some level of adjustment, that it's very difficult for them to do, right? In any capacity for that matter. And they keep hitting these roadblocks, and they may eventually get over it, but you're seeing it's not as cut and dry. And that's because all of this level of red tape, you're talking decades upon decades. There's all these acts and laws that they absolutely have to get rid of. And because they've been there for so damn long, the longer that they exist, the harder it is for them to be removed. Now, again, in the ideal world, they would have went the opposite way. Less about, okay, we want to tax everybody or try to do everything. And let's do our damnedest to alleviate, or rather, let's say this, encourage the United States of America, its people, to be producers.
Productive,
To be producers. That will go a long way in unleashing this country's economy. But that's going to take a lot of work and a lot of removal. And anybody that owns a business, you know this, Sarah. I know you know this, especially when you're dealing with businesses that are moving around a lot of money. It is, if you knew what I knew, right? And you, let's say, were more of a middle class person, or you were even let's say in poverty, you'd be like, I almost don't want to get there, because it's going to come with a lot of nonsense, right? It's there because you're going to, it feels like at every turn, the government is working against you, man. And I mean that sincerely. They are working against you as a producer, through the taxations, through the regulations. It absolutely hurts, and they punish you, especially with progressive taxations, one of the most rotten things that exists, where it essentially says the more money that you make, the more money that you take.
It's so once you start hitting that
threshold, exactly. As soon as you start getting above that threshold, we're going to start taking away any more. So you're as a creator, you're why would I even want to make more money when you're going to take more money?
Right. Right. And on top of that, there's more paperwork that is involved as
Jesus
well. There's
You have
more.
to get
You got the K1
permits.
and you
Yeah,
got the
yeah.
yep.
You have to get your business. You have to get a business manager and a lawyer to make sure you don't if you don't file at the right times, then you get punished and you get fined. And you're like, well, I mean, me coming in from the UK, which is actually very, very simple to start a business. I started my first business when I was 16 years old, and I came in. I'm like,
Oh, it's
what is going on? You got the federal, you got the state, you move states, you're like, oh my goodness me, what is this? What is that? And so you have to employ people. And so it stops people from bootstrapping their way up and getting on the rung.
Right.
And then one of the things that we need to do is we got to stop the litigious nature in the United States of America, because it is out of control.
Yeah.
Like you see all the time you're worried, you're like, am I going to get sued for this?
I've been there. Everybody knows my
Yeah.
story.
Oh my good grief.
Yeah. No, it's bad. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be back with more. But I want to remind you guys, if you haven't yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, go ahead and hit that like button and comment. It'll help us out in the algorithm, which we all know is stacked against us because we've been demonetized for 2 freaking years. Not that I'm holding a grudge. Anyway, let's thank our sponsor, Patriot Mobile. So Patriot Mobile, I love the people over at Patriot Mobile. I love partnering with them because they are my very, very good friends. And because I know them so well, I can tell you that they are some of the greatest patriots that I know, which makes the name of their company very fitting. So what they're doing is they are offering you the same nationwide cell phone coverage that you're going to get with any of the big 3 mobile companies. So it's dependable nationwide coverage. You can take your phone, you can get a new one, you can take your phone number, you can get a new one, you can set up however you'd like at patriotmobile.com. But what they're doing is they have been instrumental. They're putting their money where their mouths are. They are flipping school boards to conservatives. They are helping us, with all of the grassroots things that I'm going to, all of them, the dinners, the fundraisers, everything. Patriot Mobile is involved. They are really leading the charge. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And I'm just going to tell you, go to their website. It's patriotmobile.com/Sarah. And I could bet that they are also going to save you money. It makes it a very, very easy choice. So go check them out. They've got a whole bunch of customizable plans over at patriotmobile.com/Sarah. You can get a free month of service with promo code Sarah. Go check it out, patriotmobile.com/Sarah. Well, thanks to President Trump's mean immigration policy, we lost another good one, guys. NBC News, they published this article about this medical researcher. Kseniia Petrova was detained, and this is a blow to cancer diagnostics and scientific collaboration. If we could throw that up there, this is new images could change cancer diagnostics, but ICE detained the Harvard scientist who analyzes them. Trim and a growing number of international scientists are increasingly worried by how immigration policies are being enforced in the United States. Meanwhile, he and his colleagues anxiously await Petrova's fate. Now, that's really mean, right? Oh my God, now we're just detaining just random scientists? I mean, you've got this Good Job Team America from Soros-affiliated Partners for Justice attorney Emily Galvin Almanza. And so you just start thinking like, oh no, what are we doing? Except there's more to the story than legacy media would have you believe. You see, according to Homeland Security, this person was lawfully detained after lying about the contents of her luggage, which included undeclared petri dishes and vials, and canine units confirmed the presence of prohibited materials. So apparently, she had messages on her phone that indicated that she planned to sneak the materials through customs without declaring them, supporting a deliberate intent to evade federal law. So her visa was revoked because she violated the law, not because the Trump administration decided to be a bunch of meanies and go in and they're like, who's helping cure cancer? This woman, take her out. We don't want her. No, it's just that they're criminals, which is kind of the case in all of these, is that they're just criminals, and the legacy media can't handle it. And so they're trying to instead paint this picture, which we knew that we would, right? When President Trump got elected, we said, just get ready. Just get ready, buckle up, because they're going to try to find the most emotionally manipulative stories that they can find, and they're going to plaster them all over their magazines. You're going to see crying mothers. You're going to see crying grandmothers. You're going to see people being ripped from their families, except just know that there is always more to the story. And here it is. You have NBC quoting Harvard colleagues claiming this enforcement horrifying, and blaming the Trump administration's immigration policies, even though, of course, this was a specific legal breach. Almost like someone being a member of an MS-13 gang and having the freaking tattoo on their knuckles, and the left still being like, that's just mean. That was a Maryland father. How dare you do that to a Maryland father? Kilmar Abrego Garcia, as many Maryland fathers are named. As many Maryland fathers are named, you know?
These guys are unbelievable, but that's
shameless.
That's what I hate about politics, man. It's like these dudes, it forces them to be contrarians, okay? And contrarianism is one of the worst kind of ideologies that you can adopt, because even it's not about the positions.
Right.
It's not about what's righteous. It's not about what's just. It then becomes about what your supposed adversary and the positions that they take. You just need to take the opposite.
Literally, their policy now is orange man bad.
Yeah, so that's it. That's all that they have.
Whole worldview.
So even when it's something that's rather rational, or there's like even a nothing burger, they have to, because they're so committed to the bit, spin it. They have to spin it in a way, and that's what they've done for a while, which is plaster it on headlines that are either outright lying or it's lying by omission. Right? Because when you see the headline, oh, it's just a scientist that's out of Harvard that was detained by ICE. So that had to been someone that was doing some positive things, maybe doing some research, and now they are being kicked out of the country. And then you do a little more digging, obviously, and maybe they even put those in the actual article, but they're smart enough to know that most people ain't going to get that far.
Yeah.
They're not going to get that far. We just need to egg these folks on who are our followers, right? And get them to sort of support these policies or be against the policies that the president is going to be advocating. That's all that we need to do. And a headline is good enough. But always, with all these stories, you should be doing your own research, do a little digging, because it's more than just what's at the surface level. And no, this was not a simple case of a scientist from another country or for just period, right? That was doing some good work. And just because reasons, I guess, Trump's policy, they got kicked out of the country. Not what happened. Not what happened.
They're like, oh no, she has a foreign sounding name. Gone.
Yeah, I mean, look,
Not happening.
The deep state is not just the government; it's the media. And to Eric's point again, no, it's not even necessarily the fact that people are going to read any further. It's so that the politicians like your AOCs, like your Ilhan Omar's, are going to take the headlines and they're going to run with them. Like, that's all it is. It's like this little this feed loop right between them, so they can go, and Trump's, he did this. I mean, look, I actually love this, because there are people out there now that know about there are good people on both sides. That has made a lot of people abandon the left, because all you got to do is just look a little bit longer in the clip. And people are waking up to this. And the more and more they lie, which is, it's right, it's a lie of omission. If your kids come up to you and they don't tell you the truth, the full truth, it's a lie. And so people now, I do believe, are looking at this and going, I just want the truth. Can you just give me the friggin' news? Right. That's all I want. And it's funny now, like that, it doesn't work. It hasn't worked with the minority, right, that came over the border. Now they've got to go to Harvard, which, by the way, everyone hates Harvard right now. What's going on there, right? And now they're going to the elites, which nobody cares about anyway. There's been such a massive, look, this is a monumental seismic shift in what is going on in America and the alignment between the two parties. It's massive. So now you've really got the Democrats that are the party of the elite. And now you've got the Republicans are the party of the working man.
Yeah.
And they're just not, the working man is just like, I don't care anymore. You can say whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah, but so two more points just to hammer home what I think both of you are saying, which is this is just their entire worldview is just orange man bad. It doesn't matter what he has right. It doesn't matter what he has wrong. They're just going to take the opposite position. A Colorado judge has just blocked President Trump this afternoon from removing illegal aliens under the Alien Enemies Act, citing the Supreme Court. And she also says he is wrong to declare an invasion. And I'm sure that the camera can't pick this up, but she looks exactly how you would expect her to look. Okay, so he is wrong to declare an invasion. So how many millions upon millions upon millions of illegal, unvetted strangers do we need to bring into this country and import for you to finally admit that it is an invasion? The answer is there is no number that they would be willing to admit under the Trump administration. They will not concede that point because they're incapable of it. And on top of that, you have Democrat Congresswoman Maxine Dexter. Her dumbass went to El Salvador and she's like, we want this MS-13 member back. And she says, she literally is like, I'm not leaving El Salvador until I get this MS-13 gang member with me. Watch.
Congresswoman Maxine Dexter here, coming to you from El Salvador. I flew here last night with 3 of my colleagues to demand that Kilmar Abrego Garcia be released.
What the hell do they think?
Bitch, you don't get to demand
anything.
anything.
Of a Supreme Court order expressly telling the Trump administration to effectuate and facilitate.
Is the Trump administration in El Salvador?
That is being ignored. This is not just a threat to all people in the United States.
Oh, is it?
Who could be illegally abducted,
Really?
detained, and transported internationally against
Really?
their will. But it is a fact that our president does not
What is it with
recognize
white
the branches of
liberal
government
women?
Why do they
and
always
the balances of power.
look like that too?
This is what we all have been calling a constitutional crisis, yet it is more severe than anything we've seen. We cannot stay silent. We must stay loud. I am here because I refuse to wait for something to happen. We are here to release Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
What really annoys me about these folks is that they keep making other people's problem like mine, or they make it like it's collective. Like this is an attack on all of us. What they got to do with me?
I know.
And I'm not saying this is a disrespect to other countries or people that are from other countries or have family from other countries. I was born right here at Parkland Hospital, Dallas, Texas. What they got? I'm not. Why would they? Where they gonna send me to?
Well, that's what they're saying to me. They're like, well, your last name's Gonzalez. You're coming next. And I'm like, no, I'm not, because I'm very clearly an American citizen. This guy had multiple court orders to be deported, just not to El Salvador.
You're in no. Hopefully, El Salvador deports her.
No, let us stay. Let us stay for 10 friggin' years. Let us stay.
Listen. She is
gotta vacate her
She is
position.
advocating for a foreign terrorist organization to be released. A member from a foreign terrorist organization to be released back into America. Surely there are some charges that may come with that. I mean,
well, here's the thing.
That's treason.
What's going to happen? Let me tell you what's going to happen. Every single one of these people, this judge, this woman, what is going to happen in America is there will be a terrorist attack, right? There is going to be a terrorist attack. You can clip this. You will see it because we have allowed a ton of people on the terrorist watch list into this country. They will do a terrorist attack, and it's squarely on their shoulders because our guys right now are trying to get them out. They know where they are. They're trying to get them out. And that's why I've given ICE and whatever like a big break on this because they're trying to go for the most dangerous people to get them out. Yeah. It's starting with the gangs. They've got to go after the drug. We haven't heard anything. Do you remember there's a big drama about Mexico and Canada when we were like, hey, listen, stop your people coming in. And they're like, whoa. And they're like, okay, we'll tariff you if you don't. What happened to that, right? This is our country, our government doing one of the very few things that it should be doing in our lives, Eric, I know you know this, is protecting Americans. And it disgusts me. I want to know where that congresswoman, this pisses me off so much, has she gone into wherever the hell she's from and looked after the people in her own state, her own constituents? Because everybody seems to be more concerned about foreigners and people are here illegally. And this is coming from someone who came here legally. And I went through, by the way, I must have had 7 or 8 visas that I had to keep processing. And I was put through the ringer for them. And then when I got my green card and then got my citizenship and did it the right way, they seem more concerned about everybody else. To your point, Eric, they don't care about people that were born here. And even for me, let me just say, as a naturalized citizen, I think that you guys should take priority over me. Yeah. I just do. I mean, that's just absolutely consistent.
Well, Maxine Dexter is from Oregon, and I don't know if you guys have seen Oregon lately, but it's kind of a shithole. No offense if you're in a nice part of Oregon, but I'm sure you understand what I mean. So to your point, I don't think she's looking after her own very much more than she is trying to go grandstand about a literal MS-13 gang member illegal who came here. And just for the record, I know we got to go, but just for the record, remember, the next time you hear some dumbass from the left tell you that he was not supposed to be deported to El Salvador, that was from before Bukele came into power. That was when the rival gangs were a threat to him, and his whole point was, okay, fine, I'm here illegally, I'll be deported, but please don't deport me to El Salvador because the rival gangs there, because I'm a gang member, the rival gangs there are going to kill me, send me anywhere else. Well, guess what Bukele did? The streets are cleaned up now. There's no more gangs. So he's free to return home. It's not a threat anymore. And anyone who can't work that out in their pea-brained sized head, there's like, you can't reason with that. You just can't, because it's very, very clear. It's called common sense. I realize that that's something that the left lacks. So let's go ahead and let's take a quick break. First, I want to thank our sponsor this segment, Brickhouse Nutrition. So if you're a yo-yo dieter, I don't know if you realize this, that's actually very dangerous for you. It can increase your risk of heart attack, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and other health problems. The point is, that's not good. None of those things you want, all right? You also don't inject yourself. I'm just going to leave that right there. Don't inject yourself. I know that people are like, look, it's the new craze. There are some crazy side effects from that. You don't need a prescription. Let me tell you about Lean. It is natural ingredients that are all studied that target weight loss in 3 ways. It helps maintain healthy blood sugar. It helps control appetite and cravings, and it helps burn fat by converting fat into energy. So if you're tired of losing weight and gaining it back, doing the yo-yo dieting, and you want something to help you, let me get you started with 20% off when you enter Sarah20 at takelean.com. That is code Sarah20 at takelean.com. Well, I apologize. I've made a terrible, terrible mistake. I did not wish you guys happy Earth Day when we started the show.
I'm offended.
Will you forgive me?
No.
Never?
Never.
Wow. Okay. Well, Matthew really loves the earth. And so does, allegedly, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who not so long ago told us that we only had, 7 or 8 years left. It's a very, very serious matter to get all of the climate under control. Now, I don't know which climate she's talking about, because we have gone from like acid rain to global warming to global cooling to, that's why they changed it to climate change, because that was just kind of all encompassing and they were tired of changing what was going to happen because it never actually happened. But be that as it may, you have AOC on Earth Day deplaning from a private jet. It's too rich. So rules for thee, but not for me, apparently, with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And, she and Bernie Sanders are out there jetting around. They've got a $15,000 an hour luxury jet to go on their Fight the Oligarchy tour. It's just that this kind of seems a little elitist. They keep saying that there's Bernie, I think. They keep saying that they're fighting against the elitism, and I don't know. It really kind of looks like these are the elitists. I've never flown on a $15,000 an hour private jet. I've never flown on a private jet at all. I flew on JSX once. It was just the once. Can I tell you guys something? I've never flown first class either. Never.
Oh, wow.
I'm just an everyday I'm just a Texas mom, guys. I've never even flown first class, so I wouldn't know what it's like to be such an elitist as AOC and Bernie Sanders. What a great gig if you can get it. Right? What a great gig. You just completely confuse people. You manipulate them. You lie to them. You pretend like you have these values that you clearly don't have. And you just get to gallivant across the country. Like, wow, what a great gig if you can get it and sell your soul to the devil because you have absolutely no morals.
Well, look, I mean, this is something that I've gone on and on and on about for years, that the right still doesn't understand that the left makes stars. They don't care about, I mean, she's completely constructed, right? I mean, I know, Sarah, I know you don't think it, but I think that she's good looking. I've said it before.
Yes. It's because the bar is...
sorry.
It's because the bar is low.
Well, it's her or Elizabeth Warren. I mean, come on.
When you're looking at the Democrats, how about her or Anna Paulina Luna?
Well,
got you there.
Different thing. Also, I'm not saying that she's not beautiful either, but the point is that we, for the most part, think that we will win with the right arguments. We've seen it over and over. Yeah. We've seen it in Texas legislature, right? I mean, we've seen it over and over, and we have to understand that we are really in the era of media, television. I mean, I don't know why Republicans don't understand the fact that the two greatest presidents that the Republicans have had in our lifetimes have both been great on television. One was an actor, the other one was a reality television star. So it is what it is. But no, I mean, not all of us are like CEOs of the Rippaverse. Not all of us can fly around in the private jet.
Every time I fly. Now, Eric, do you have a private jet yet? Do you own one?
I've only flown on a private jet once, and it wasn't when I was before I started the Rippaverse. Flew on a private jet to a Mexico show that I did.
George Soros? Was it George Soros?
No.
Yeah, right. I've got my eye on
you. No, it wasn't.
Was it when you were in the Chippendales?
No. You're letting the secrets out, man. You're supposed to keep that on the down low, man.
Magic Mike. Yeah.
Nah, man. But look, you're right. You're totally. This is something I've been arguing. People can go back to all the articles that I used to do on being libertarian back in like 2011, 2012, 2013, talking about how non-leftists have to embrace culture. Mainly because, well, arguments alone, that works for people that may be kind of center, that got to their way of positions by logic. But as I always say, in many quote, you cannot reason a person out of position that they got to by way of emotion. Yep. It's quite literally impossible. And you may think that that's unjust. You may think I should be able to lead with the ideas alone, and that should be enough to convince people. Not how it works in the real world. So they are great at, and that unfortunately shows how they are really good at what they do, because nobody here at the table believes that AOC is the brightest out
she's
there.
Dumb.
Okay? She's influential. That's it. Same can be said for a lot of the content. Like, it was only recent, and they're still lagging behind, because it was only recent that in Trump's, when he was running for president, when they finally started to embrace more cultural means. And really, that's what won him the presidency. And instead of just always trying to lead with these ideas and always speaking to the same guys, Trump was getting on these podcasts. Trump was meeting up with like guys like Aiden Ross, these people that maybe folks that are much older than us that typically vote for the Republicans would say, that's stupid. Why would anybody listen to this person that had, I don't know, 30,000 people watching them at the same time? This is the way of the future. And as soon as people that are economically right, like myself, again, libertarians, conservatives, whatever you want to label yourself as, once you start embracing that fully, you'll start to win. And unfortunately, and I know you feel me on this, you deal with a lot of catty BS when it comes to the quote unquote right. They're going to try to kneecap anybody that tries to be successful. And really the only people that they really get behind are people that defect. So that lasts only for about 3 months. You can come from the left tomorrow, get everything you want, but then you position yourself where you here for a little bit, and then they're done with you. You're not going to get hardly any more support anymore. That's just how they operate. But once they understand that culture wins, they'll start to win.
Yeah. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. A fiscal policy analyst in the Walz administration over in Minnesota was caught on multiple Tesla surveillance cameras keying 6 cars in downtown Minneapolis. This is Dylan Bryan Adams, was caught multiple times. The damage was over $21,000. He was arrested, released the next day, and despite video evidence, Hennepin County DA Mary Moriarty opted for pre-charge diversion instead of felony charges. So he is going to pay restitution to avoid a prosecution. Also, interesting note, I'm sure not related at all. This attorney, Mary Moriarty, is just connected to George Soros. She is one of the Soros prosecutors who has publicly opposed Trump-era immigration enforcement and criticized the Laken-Riley Act, which, of course, prioritizes deporting criminal illegal immigrants. And even the Minneapolis Police Department, they were like, we did our job. We identified it. We investigated the trend. We arrested him. We presented the case file. And they don't blame us. Any frustration related to the charging decision of Hennepin County attorney should be directed solely at her office. And so now you've got this guy who over $21,000 in damage. And I would argue, I mean, how much restitution did he pay? It's not enough. It's not enough. So here you are again with these rogue judges and also prosecutors who are connected to George Soros, who are picking and choosing according to politics. Got to do something about this, guys. People need to get active, though, locally. And I don't know.
I mean, how many? I'm sure there'll probably be a crowdfunding thing to pay his fine, because that's where we are right now. Look, going back to what Eric was saying, and I think it was the first section about the tariffs and about the fact that there's all this red tape. We need to go after anyone that is profiting from an attack on the American people, whether that be something like this, and the judges need to be disbarred. They need to go. And we need to look at politicians that are in bed with foreign entities, stopping us from being able to be creative and productive in America. Where are the arrests, Pam Bondi? I'm just saying. Like, we aren't seeing it, are we? We're not seeing people go to jail for this. We've seen a couple of high-profile things. It's got to change. There needs to be punishment for these things.
Yeah.
Where is Pam Bondi?
On Fox News, apparently.
Ding, ding, ding.
Look, argument I've made before, and I'll make it again, that when there are crimes that have an actual victim, they need to be prosecuted. And no matter where you're at on the political spectrum, especially if you're a libertarian, that's no in violating people's private property rights. If you want crime, especially in this country, to end in the way that it is, when folks actually do something that have a victim, right? You prosecute them. They get punished. Mm-hmm. They go to jail. Not trying to look for reasons to let them off the hook. And I'm talking about actual crimes with actual victims. I'm not talking about the victim. What the state said something that was illegal and then you did it, right? And then no. I'm saying things like this. They're easily identifiable, cut and dry. You're on tape. Go to jail.
Go to jail. Throw away the key. Sorry, not sorry.